You can see one of the previous exercises about companies, CEO and directors and employees. We already translated those sentences into CNF. So here you can see four clauses. The four clauses what we got. I would like to show you how to translate those clauses into Prolog. So first of all, let me start with the first clause, which is going to be effect. Effect consists of one single literal. Now this literal is PR of C. So I'm going to translate it into Prolog syntax. As you already know, everything which is not a variable must be written in lowercase or must be started with lowercase letter. So therefore, I'm using the lowercase letters PR and I'm using the lowercase c for the constant in the parameter. And of course, I have to use the dot at the very end. So this is going to be effect. All the other three clauses consist of more than one literals. The most complicated one is the third one, not df of x or not PR of x or CF of x. This is going to be a rule. In a rule, the positive literal is going to be the left-hand side, the head of the rule. So this is going to be at the very beginning CF of x. Then we write colon and dash, and then the right-hand side is right-hand side follows. Actually, this right-hand side is a negated conjunction, the negated conjunction of df of x and PR of x. So basically, the left-hand side is going to be a conjunction of the non-negated atoms. This is why I'm going to put df of x here to the right-hand side of the rule, and I write comma and then PR of x. And I made a mistake because now x is a variable. Therefore, in the source code, in the Prolog source code, x must be written with with an uppercase letter. This is very important. So to summarize, a rule has a left-hand side and a right-hand side. The left-hand side is going to be the single positive literal. The right-hand side is going to be the enumeration of the negated literals. And as you can see, logically, there is an and connection, a conjunction between those. This is why we are saying that CF of x implies from both df of x and PR of x, both of them must hold at the same time. Okay, so let's focus on the very last clause here. You can see two negated literals, not CF of x or not PR of x. If you can see only negated literals inside your clause, then this clause is going to be the query. So you have to write it at the prompt. You have to do almost quite the same as you did in the previous clause. So basically, you only have to enumerate all the negated literals without negation and separate them with comma. So the query is going to be CF of x, comma, PR of x, and finally a dot. Okay, so we created a fact from a clause which contains only one positive literal. Then I created a rule from a clause which contains one positive literal and two negative literals. And finally, I created a query from a clause which contains only negative literals. But I have one more clause which contains two positive literals. And the point is, we cannot do anything with it because in Prolog, every instruction must be a horn clause. it means it can contain at most one positive literal. Therefore, the second clause cannot be expressed in Prolog at all. If you want to express every clause in Prolog, you have to try to translate them to Horn clauses. Therefore, we have to restart everything. And first of all, we have to try to convert this second clause into Horn clause. We already did it in the previous module. There we negated CF everywhere. So in the second clause, CF is going to be negated, and so is CF of X in the third clause. However, in the very last clause, the negation in front of CF of X must be eliminated. So now what's the situation with the Prolog transcription? First of all, the first clause didn't change, so it is going to be a fact. The second clause now can be translated into a rule, df of C colon dash CF of C dot. Now the third clause is going to be a query because it consists of only negative literals, and the last clause is going to be a rule. So we have to regenerate the Prolog instructions in the case of the last two clauses. Let's do it very quickly. So the third clause is going to be the query df of x, comma, pr of x, comma, cf of x dot. And finally, the fourth clause is going to be a rule cf of x colon dash pr of x. Let's type the resulting facts and rules in our knowledge base here. And similarly, let's type the query at the prompt. Now, when I click on the run button, I get the answer. The Prolog interpreter provides me the answer, saying that I have to substitute the constant c into the variable x. This is how the Prolog interpreter proved that the query is implied from the knowledge base, from the set of facts and rules.